Hello, welcome to RNG at the Crossroad. I am your co-host, G.A. Cross.
And I'm the other co-host, and I'm Roosevelt. We'd like to thank you for joining the broadcast today. And Gerald and I, we have a topic that we're going to discuss, and something that affects the both of us. It's a little while than what the stuff we usually speak about, but it does have to do with the community, and it's called diabetes.
Absolutely. This is a topic that it's something that I deal with, and that anyone who's been diagnosed with diabetes, you deal with diabetes every day. It's not like you can really take a day off. I mean, you really have to be in tune with your body, what you're putting in your body, and so on and so forth. And the reason why we really came up with this particular subject piece today is because coming out of a pandemic, the craziness of the news cycle, it's always something going on, so on and so forth. There's not much good news that's coming out of there lately. And I don't know what your politics are at this moment, but I know everybody's sick of the damn political commercials. I don't care what your politics are. They own, if you're watching any TV program, they coming on it seems like every 2-3 minutes, you got some kind of political campaign trying to pitch you on this and that. And so a lot of time, even the stress can cause you to, if you have diabetes, to have your levels off. So we want to bring some good subject matter today.
Absolutely. Not only that, Gerald, those campaigns, watching them, they can bring you stress as well.
Yeah, they will, man. I mean, that is just the redundancy of the commercial over and over again. I mean, it's like, oh, come on, man, really? And then by the time they get, yeah, man. And look, and by the time they get done with you on them, man, that's why the politics, man, that's a dangerous, dirty game, because
man,
by the time they get done with you on them, man, they done got you labeled like you a real bad guy. Like, I mean, when they get finished with you, like, are you even eligible to be running? I mean, by the time they label you, have you attached to all this stuff, man, you're like, man, they got you labeled out like a straight out crook. So I'm like, dang, can you really even be running? You know what I'm saying? So, man,
between the politics and church, we're supposed to be what's that? Church and state should be separent.
Oh, yeah, separation of church and state. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's
get on with the subject, man.
Yeah, man. Woo. But diabetes, I'm gonna jump in so everybody we on the same page. I'm just gonna do a brief, explanation of the definition of diabetes. So, but I don't want to be so clinical with this, okay? And up front, we are not medical professionals. I don't have no medical degree, no medical certifications, or anything. This is just I have diabetes with all the things that we're dealing with on a daily basis. The stress can cause your levels to be off, and you just have to be more in tune with your body. So this is the reason why I'm doing it today. Roosevelt's doing it as well.
Because I do also have type 2 diabetes.
Okay, yeah, I'm type 2 as well. So, and we're passing this information on because we're about wellness, and we have to make that most powerful decision is to be in tune with our health. Because if we don't feel well, we won't do well. And if you don't have your health, you don't got nothing. So
absolutely,
that's the reason for it. So just repeating again, we're not medical professionals. We're gonna give you some different gems and different techniques and different things to help you
and also share our experience and how we do.
Absolutely. But don't change your current regimen. Don't change any medication. Don't do anything without consulting a physician. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we just want to make that very, very clear.
Absolutely.
Diabetes is a chronic, long-lasting health condition that affects how your body turns food into energy. Your body breaks down most of the food you eat into sugar, glucose, okay, releases into your bloodstream. When your blood sugar goes up, it signals your pancreas to release insulin. Insulin acts like a key to let the blood into your body's cells for energy use. So if everything operating properly, your sugar levels go up, your cells carry them, you burn it off like energy, okay? And it keeps your blood levels in check if you don't have, an issue with diabetes or you don't have any types of issues. And with diabetes, your body doesn't make enough insulin, or it can't use the insulin that your pancreas makes well enough. When there isn't enough insulin or cells, they stop responding to the insulin. So it could cause you to be insulin resistant to the insulin that your pancreas is producing, that can cause your blood sugar levels to be off and to affect your health. And at the same time, over time, that can cause serious health problems such as heart disease, vision loss, or kidney disease. There isn't a cure yet for diabetes, but losing weight, eating healthy food, and being active can really help a whole lot in your life, as far as helping you to feel better.
It'll help control it.
Right. The things you can do that are very basic is to take your medicine as prescribed, get diabetes self-management education and support. Like, for example, if you're a medical provider has a nutritionist that comes in, learning how to eat, to basically what I call it is, I want to give, since the diabetes has come uninvited and I didn't invite diabetes, then I want to treat it like an uninvited guest. So all the foods that they don't like to eat or doesn't like, I'm going to give it. So putting it in that type of language. So I don't want to be too clinical, but I just want to give a brief definition.
I don't think that's being clinical at all.
Okay. So yeah, I just want to make sure we're not, because I don't want to bore the audience, but I just want to give them, a really good a synopsis of what it is. So
yeah, I don't think that's being clinical at all. I mean, you're just sharing information. And see, one of the things, as I shared with Gerald my story, and anybody that knows me, I'm a hard head by nature. I don't like anybody telling me. I've been a pretty healthy dude all of my life, for the most part, of when it talks to what I ingest and taking care of my body. But of course, I used to smoke cigarettes, but I wasn't a chronic smoker. I smoked when I drank, and my drink of choice is always beer. And I'm gonna start from now and probably work our way back. Gerald, this might take 2 broadcasts.
I think we should. I think we can give our audience some. We can ante it up. Listen, we're going to give them some information, but we're definitely going to do it. I think we're going to go ahead and do a part 2, because I think this is very important. So, and then and who knows, later on we could wind up just doing a series. Once we get some feedback from the audience.
I think that's important based on just what you said, the feedback from the audience. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about where I'm at with this diabetes thing. And when I was first diagnosed, and it was 4 years ago, so this was 2018. I was living in Philadelphia at the time, and I was diagnosed, and we'll share that, how I got diagnosed, or why my sugar spiked up. We'll share that on the next segment.
Okay.
But my endocrinologist, actually I was doing a physical. I was just doing a regular physical, and my primary, after they did my blood came back, to go to the emergency.
Wow.
I get to the emergency, my sugar level was 506. I've never had any symptoms. And I'm not the most trusting person when it comes to hospitals, the medical field. I'm not the most trusting person. I'm sure a lot of you guys can, especially me.
But see, that's powerful, because in our pre-conversation before we had come on, before we started the episode, he's the only person I come across that I can even think of that has actually had the diabetes, but doesn't really recall having the symptoms. Now, I've heard about it, but this is why I really wanted him to really talk about that, because this is a situation where you would say this would be a really important way to say, hey, it's really important to get those wellness checks and things like that. Because if you're not feeling out of whack, or you're not really noticing anything different, the only way you would know is if you were tested. They did an A1C test on you, or just did a simple glucose test on you, or something like that.
Right. And because I went from Atlanta, after spending 20 years in Atlanta, to Pittsburgh, 4 years there, then Philadelphia. But when I got to Pittsburgh, I mean, that's when I got diagnosed with diabetes. No, actually, yeah, I got diagnosed, but I ain't pay attention because I had zero symptoms. I wasn't checking my blood sugar, nothing. I'm living my life. Then I get to Philadelphia, and I mean my primary in Philadelphia. And like I was saying, I'm just getting me a regular checkup. Blood work comes back. Go to emergency.
Wow.
Get to emergency. I'm at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And they go through the repertoire question. No, nothing's tinkling. I have zero symptoms.
Wow.
So I'm not motivated by them putting me on this medication. I'm not motivated at all. I feel great. I'm living my life. I'm taking care of my body. And I still do check up. Man, your blood sugar, now I'm in like 400s. Dude, how often are you checking your blood sugar? I'm like, I don't do that. I'm fine. Then when I came back down here, and I'm having conversations with my endocrinologist, and I've had several. Over time, I realized they really did care. They really did care about my health. This is what it is. And the numbers don't lie. The numbers just are like, even to this day, I've never had any symptoms. But a couple of months ago, I think it was like about March, April, I'm having a conversation with my endocrinologist. And I'm sure all the endocrinologists that I've had have said this to me. But for some reason, it just clicked. And this is what she told me. I don't care how healthy you are. I don't care how healthy you eat. Your body is not producing insulin. Somehow that just like, bam.
Yeah.
I got it at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
So I regularly, and my A1C, I don't know if any of you guys know about A1C, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do know what the A1C. My A1C, like if it gets to 14, that's the last number they're giving you. She said, you're over 14.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Where they want you down around 7, between 6 and 7 or below.
Yeah. Right.
I was actually, he said, you're over 14. It could have been 15, 16, but they'll never, when that level gets to 14, they ain't telling you what it is over that, because that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, like I said, I'm glad you're really sharing this with the audience because you didn't have the symptoms. And that right there reverts back to the importance of getting that wellness check and letting them check you out. Because when I was first diagnosed with it, man, I just happened to go in because what happened to me was it runs in my dad's side of the family.
Okay.
So, when my grandmother was around, she used to tell my mother, like, keep an eye on him, because it runs in the family, stuff like that. We don't know what version of he can have, but we almost pretty sure he could wind up with it, and we just don't know when. Some of my relatives have different variations of it. Some of them have where they just don't have it. They don't have it. And then some have a moderate version of it. It just all depends on, I think, how you do your body and just whatever type of version you got of it. So, but to make a long story short, I happened to be talking to my uncle, and I realized I was just going to the restroom, like, a lot more than I normally would. And just so my audience knows, I'm a very private person. So even with doing this platform, this is a lot for me to say, but I'm saying it because this is very important, and just not, discussing certain things and so on and so forth is not going to help folks. And it's not going to, and I had to educate myself about what was going on and things like that. And I want you all to be more knowledgeable about what it is. So that way you have a better life and you feel well and you do well, you make better choices. But I was talking to my uncle, and, and I was just talking to him, and I said, I was just talking to him about it. And he was happened to be talking about a relative that he was like, yeah, they just, went and got diagnosed for diabetes. And I was like, really? And I was like, well, why? I said, what really makes them, how would we really know, And he said, yeah, he thought he was going to, having to go pee more than he normally would. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And I said, man, I've been doing that lately. And he said, yeah.
Okay.
And he said, okay. He said, you've been going to go pee more than you normally do. You need to go on and get checked out. So sure enough, I went and I did the went to did the wellness check, and then she came back and she says, you have it's in your urine. And I said, oh, okay. So make a long story short, then they did a glucose level on me, and I was like 385 or something like that. So
wow.
And just folks, again, for me to tell you all this is a lot. I'm, the people that know me, I'm a very, very private person, but like I said, this is important stuff that we share with you.
Right.
And also, if you have it, to maintain it so that way it doesn't cause you problems. But when I got that, I was diagnosed with having it, and I immediately began to exercise and do all these different things. So it didn't have to be on the medication and stuff like that. But the thing is, sometimes you just, certain things that spark you want to go get checked out. And I think we all may come upon it and being diagnosed with it and leading to that diagnosis in a different way. It could be this conversation, something you read, a family member, or so on and so forth. But if you're having symptoms, and I just have a few symptoms I want to run by you. If you urinate more than you normally would, if you're very thirsty, if you lose weight without really doing anything different, blurred vision, if you have different vision throughout the day and it kind of fluctuates and things like that, numbness, in your legs, or any type of tingling in your feet. And that usually has to do with your sugar levels being too high, where it basically starts to bother your nerves. And dry skin. You could have dry skin is a kind of indication that you may have type 2 diabetes. So you want to make sure that you use really good lotions and things like that. And all of these things, the very dry skin, you may feel tired, just lack of energy, things like that. It could throw your mood off too. It can, if your blood sugar is too high, it can make you more irritable than you normally would be. So these are some basic things that symptoms that you may say, hey, I might want to check them out and so on and so forth. But remember, again, I'm not a physician, no medical certificates or anything like that. This is right. This information I'm giving you is just my personal experience with dealing with diabetes.
And that's information that's available to everybody.
Correct.
Because we're not diagnosing anything or giving a prognosis on anything.
Right.
And one of the symptoms, like we did in our pre-production, I was like, well, maybe irritable might have been some of the symptoms that I've, experienced. But for the most part, I mentally make an effort every day just to be positive about whatever. And I'm growing in an area. And just piggyback on what you said about, you sharing something being private. Gerald and I are the same in that regard. But one thing, when we decided to do this podcast, we understood that we have to be vulnerable. And that's what we're doing. We're making ourselves vulnerable. I wouldn't be doing this if if God would not have put us together to do this. I would have never done this.
Yeah.
And now I understand the importance of it.
Yeah. And I think that has a lot, because, it's a lot of times it's our ego, and we've done segments on, an episode about the ego and things like that. Sometimes it'll make you in a situation to where, you feel like you don't want to say certain things and so on and so forth. But the good thing about, even sharing with you all some of the symptoms and things like that, what I did was I made that choice. Our platform is all about choices, making a decision that's going to bring you a better experience, to bring you better outcomes. Absolutely. I made that decision that I was going to do, what my doctor prescribed me to do and told me the instructions. I changed my diet, and I don't have any of those symptoms anymore. When I was diagnosed, I changed my whole regimen, and by taking action, I don't have those situations anymore, because like I said, I just followed in suit. I established that discipline right away because, you know, you make that decision that, hey, my health is important to me. So once you decide, hey, your health is important, you're gonna make that choice. Like Gil just said, hey, doctor said, hey, with that situation with the you're not producing the insulin thing. That was a that main situation that was paramount for you, that was a game changer for you because it got your undivided attention. So we all have that moment or that main thing that may have us to fall in suit. But just to let you all know, by doing that and doing what's prescribed, having a proper diet, things like that, and being responsible, I don't have any of those symptoms anymore, you see. But you have to have that discipline to do it.
And fortunately for you, see, I'm on the needle. I take 2 different types of insulin every day. You know, Gerald's on metformin. You're on a pill, right?
Yeah, I just do. Just a pill. Yeah.
So he's closer by just following his regimen daily. He's closer to getting out of the diabetes ridge zone.
Correct, and that's the thing.
You know,
I'm currently on it, but my doctor is actually. This is the really good news about it. My last visit, she was saying that she's going to review my numbers and look at my my lab, my blood lab work, and her objective is to get me off. So I'm excited about that. So I will be. My goal is to be in that situation where I'm just controlling with diet and so on and so forth, and not have to be bothered with it at all. So yeah.
Hey, let me throw out some numbers. All right. I'm just do a little numbers thing with you guys concerning diabetes in this country. Now, worldwide, there's 460 million people that are type 2 diabetic. We're not even talking about type 1, and maybe we'll be able to throw that in there on our next broadcast. In this country alone, 34.2 million adults have diabetes, which is 10.5% of the population. Now, I'm gonna break this down to you, the different cultures. Men in this country, Black men, non-Hispanic, Black or whites. Men are 11.4%. No, it's people of color. 11.4%. Women 12%. A total of 11.7%, which people of color in this country is just 13% of the population. The ratio with white folks is a total 1.6. Now, understand this. There are things that people of color that we eat and we take pride in eating that doesn't affect people of non-color like it does people of color. I'm like, just do your research, because I'm not going to get out there and say what it is. But there are things that we, as people of color, eat that we love that affects us deeply when it comes to diabetes, but does not affect other cultures.
But this is the thing. I learned this from a neurologist. And it was a situation that my mother had a situation where she was at the hospital and stuff like that. But I learned this from a neurologist, and he broke this down for me, man, and it made a lot of sense in regard to that. He said, and this is very, very true, that a lot of times we have pre-programmed ourselves in our mind that we have these situations. He said, but this is the thing. It's really, those numbers fluctuate when you break down culture and diet. That diet. See,
Absolutely.
a lot of times how we eat, the foods that we're eating and what we're intaking into the body, and how our body breaks down those foods and things like that. Like the carbs, like the breads and things like that, or the rice and things like that, that gets into your body and it breaks down into sugar. So a lot of people think, well, if I'm drinking a sugary drink, or I'm thinking, or I'm eating foods like snacks and things like that, cake, pies, and cupcakes, things like that, or any type of foods that you know has sugar in them. You think, oh, I just take those out. But you have to watch the carbohydrates too, because the carbohydrates
break down to sugar.
Correct. If they're not, if they're not gluten-free and so on and so forth, they're going to break down to sugar. So getting back to what he was saying, the way he explained to me in this fashion is that a lot of times it does have to do with your diet. So sometimes from a situation to where, it could be whatever group, as far as your nationality or custom or how you celebrate each year and things like that, the holidays, you may eat certain foods to where, hey, you might be taking a lot of pies, or eat more desserts you normally do around the holidays. We all kind of indulge during that time. But on a routine basis, if you have diabetes, you really have to look at your diet.
Dieting is important. Dieting is the most important aspect of how you work with your diabetes, how you control it or not, or you don't. I mean, that's which a lot of us don't. I mean, even what I was saying about 10.5%, last year it was 8.1% of the country. So it's growing rapidly.
Oh yeah, it is. And I think a lot of that, you got to think about it. If you have diabetes, you go really, really be dealing with it and have to increase your discipline, because during the pandemic, you weren't able to go to the gym. The gym was closed. Your socials and things like that. Your cardio, you're going to get probably running around the neighborhood, go to the park, things like that. But it would change you out of your norms, that you would normally do. And the stress of not being able to be social, like you normally would be throughout coming out of a pandemic and things like that, can alter your levels. And if you're eating more because of it, that can throw your levels off. But those numbers are very interesting, Gil, that you shared. And but yeah, I just want to break that down, because I did not know that until that neurologist explained that to me. He was like, man, he talked about that. He was like, man, the mind has a lot to do with what you're doing. He's like, a lot of times we talk about nationalities and different groups of people. At the same time, he said, what's more relevant is what you're putting in your body.
Yeah. And from a physiological perspective, culturally, people within certain cultures can ingest certain foods that people in other cultures cannot without it affecting them. So dieting is really important. It's extremely important, and I cannot stress it enough. Got to pay attention.
Oh yeah.
Always get your blood sugars checked.
Yeah, you definitely want to do that.
The older you get your blood sugars checked. And I'm just say this because like my brother, who I just lost recently, and he was a sugar junkie. He had diabetes first. Then he had pancreatic cancer. Yeah, he was a diabetic first, but he couldn't get off the sugar, and he just couldn't get off the sugar. But he was diabetic, and this is a healthy dude, man. Never smoked, never drank, but he was in love with sugar. Dude made the best Kool-Aid in the world, man.
Oh man, yeah. That's hard. I mean, when you talk about that, man, it's when they diagnosed me and they give you these pamphlets, and I hate them. I hate them damn pamphlets, man. They give you a pamphlet with all this stuff. I mean, you're like, oh Lord. But the thing that hurt me the most, man, was I'm looking at this, man, and I'm reading. And I said, okay, I understand this. I see what diabetes. Okay, I see this. And then we got to the foods. And then it said, these foods you should not eat. I said, oh, okay. So I turned the little, you got the stuff stapled. So you kind of flip it over, right? Okay. Yeah. I'm okay now at this point. I read about the diabetes, what it is, what it does, and so forth. I'm fine. I'm good, man. I'm like, man, whatever this is, I got this. I'm cool. No problem. Then we got to the foods that says that, okay, now that you've been diagnosed with diabetes, these are the foods you should not have. And then I'm just like, I just remember being completely still and in shock because I'm
What
like,
can I eat here?
I'm like devastated because I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're a person like me, I love to eat. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
like to eat. Okay.
Yeah.
The foods, like orange juice, that's my favorite drink. I'm like, and that's before they got
Sugar.
yeah, and that's before they got the Tropicana now that's got the reduced sugar, 50% and all that kind of stuff. But no orange juice. What? No cakes and pies, this and that has too much sugar in it, and
Yeah.
then the portion factor.
Yeah.
Then they're like, yeah, hold your hand up, this is how much meat you can have. For what can fit in the palm of my hand? I'm like, who wrote this? You know what I'm saying? Who's doing this? This is hurting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the portion of meat that I'm supposed to have. I'm like, are you kidding me? I like to eat. I like to get seconds. The food is good. And my wife is a great cook.
Okay.
Okay. She's not a good cook. Okay. My wife is a great cook. So our food is good. So I'm trying to get seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like my whole seconds program was that was eliminated. That ain't on that sheet. Like I flipped on that. Seconds ain't a good idea when you get to the portions section, which means that going for seconds is not part of the program anymore. So I'm like,
you know what I find myself doing? And I read labels. I read labels. When I'm in the grocery store, anything I pick up off that shelf, I'm reading labels.
yeah.
I would have never thought that I'd become that person that I used to see or hear or think about in my youth. I'm that person.
Oh yeah. You that guy, because if you could do it if you want to. Now me, Gil said he didn't have any symptoms. I did because my levels would be off and I would feel strange, things like that. So now I'm like, as much as I like that, I don't want it. And like some of my family members, like holidays, like, well, go ahead and you can have just a little bit of it. No, I don't want it because it's gonna make me feel terrible for the rest of the day. It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to feel well and I like to be in balance. So I made a decision. I chose just not to have those foods. So folks out there that have diabetes, you all know about that. Sometimes if you indulge too much on a day, it could take you 2 or 3 days to get your body back, way you really want it to be. So,
So listen, we're going to do a part 2. This was good, man. We're going to do a part 2. We really appreciate you guys joining us, and those of you that are joining us for the first time, we really encourage you to go into our check out our website at RG Crossroad and check out our mission statement. And just in a nutshell, we're trying to bring a community of people together from around the world, where you can bring your gifts, talents, your time, your resources, and bring them to this platform. I mean, you might end up, connecting with somebody. You could be from Atlanta, or you could be from California, or you can be from Yugoslavia, or in European, anywhere in the world where people come and have the same passion that Gerald and I are trying to convey out to you guys. And, you might need something to take back to your community where somebody that you've met on this platform can be able to assist you, and vice versa. So we really appreciate you joining us. Our motto is don't get stuck in the crossroad. We're at a crossroad every day, all of us. We got to make a decision every single day. You can either make that decision to change, regress, or be the same.
Absolutely.
Tell them where they can find us, Gerald.
Hey, they rngthecrossroad.com. Check us out at RG The Crossroad at Facebook, and also RNG The Crossroad Instagram. So visit us on any of those platforms. We welcome you on our journey. We are reaching out to a global community, as Roosevelt said. So we want to share information. We our main desire is to make a decision on this particular episode is to feel better, making that decision to be in balance, to feel better, better experience, better outcomes. So thank you all so much for joining us, and have
Come on back.
absolutely, and have a good evening.
Much love.